market is volatile, but something really is changing behind the scenes. When you look at the top 100 coins in this way, you're like, okay, there is nothing happening. Yes, good news is we are still holding 20K for Bitcoin, but you see a lot of mixed movement inside the market. But then when you take a step in to actually see what is the reality, you see like, okay, the exchange inflows are there. You realize that. And when you're looking at the trading side of this, you're like, okay, 1.23 billion has actually went in towards the exchanges. Now, when you come inside that one, when I'm looking at the total USD flows, it's like 1.92 billion in last 24 hours. That's increasing. So you can ask, like, why would people put more money into crypto? Now, why I'm saying crypto? Because it's not completely going in to the fiat exchange. Fiat exchange, it's less than 10%. 90% of the money or higher is going to crypto exchanges. You can think why they would do that. If you're not going to buy, you can just keep it in your ledger. Why would you put that into an exchange if that's a big amount? And most likely, this is not retailers for sure. If it's retailers, I wouldn't say like we'll have $1 billion per day volume. So there are whales and institutions for sure. Then people will say, okay, that's going to Bitcoin. So if it was going to Bitcoin, you would have seen the Bitcoin dominance pumping. That is not what you actually see in the market. So there are some things happening. And when you enter into the market, look at different things. You're like a lot of altcoins, random ones are popping, right? Some of these are like 28% a day, 20% a day, going back to 30-40% in last week with this drop which we had recently. So that says something is happening. Maybe it's an alt season. But if you are holding XRP, now you're looking for like, okay, am I really going to hold this one because the actual fundamentals did not change? I think it did not change because this one is actually a macro change. We have other news articles, I'll take you through that. But keep this in mind, when things change from whatever it is happening in the current scenario, what you should look at is what is happening right now, what happened before, because some years back, you had a lot of attention. And State Bank of India, who's actually doing this now, eyes the Ripple roll out. And it was the one only financial institution, Ripple, fintech, going into India and getting that much attention in. So if you are inside this, you are going to see something big. So guys, if you like the way we are going, hit that like and subscribe button. This is the Scientific Investor Family, where we learn how to become the next top 10%, top 5%. So if you look at the market to get that understanding of what big guys are thinking, now you need to look at how things are evolving, because there are a lot of macro factors which are impacting right now from, these which are not good news for normal human being who has a mortgage. That's now really high. Now you go look at like, okay, what are the different stats, and it's varying, but right now it does not look really good. And if Fed is going to do another hike, say 50 basis points, 75 basis points, this is again going to increase, and that may not be good for everyone, because right now this is the natural depth. And if the interest rate is going up, think what is going to be the impact on it. Now, yes, the fundamentals have not changed for us. We are looking at this and we see like, okay, there is a lot happening. So when you go through these and understand like, okay, things are evolving, we agree, and people does not actually look at how dollar is getting impacted, BRICS nations are moving out, and when you see the foreign currency fluctuations and people preparing to use their own currency to trade with another country, there's now is a big deal to think like what's happening, right? When you see they are moving on and they really want to actually launch their central bank digital currency early next year, think most likely others are also doing that. And then you get all the connections going all the way back into Ripple, the company. And this way, like, they were already ready for this, and they knew that one of the bank went in, another bank went in, and they are actually looking at all different stuffs evolving. And Ripple established itself in India back in 2017. So if you get things right, you will understand like, okay, one is India and two is Iran. So Indian rupees being used to pay for Iran is now actually easy because they actually get its pair. So Indian rupees goes to XRP, XRP goes to Iranian Rial. So all of this is happening because if you remember back in the days when we were looking at this kind of stuff, which is the electronic payment news in 2018, you kind of see like this month what's happening, Ripple the blockchain. And when you go through this, it's like 50, 60 times where Ripple the company is actually mentioned. Yeah, 65 times. And how they work, what they do, what kind of partnerships they have. So if you deny the fact that this was happening and they, you look at the reality which is happening right now, because there is going to be a lot more volatility in these currencies, especially in some of the areas where, they have issues. So this one is getting smoked. USD to Korean won. When you look at that, yes, we are at the highs of like last 5,000 days, so going all the way back to 2009. So that's the financial crisis, as you know. Great. So right now, remember, 2008, the financial crisis started and we ended here. And that peak was this. But before that, we had even higher peak. So when you actually zoom out inside this one and just plot a trend line, you will actually see like, okay, we did get connected through this 3 key points and we broke that one higher. So if you are a technical guy, now you're trying to make sense of things and you're like, okay, that's a symmetrical triangle. And you can go for a conservative measured movement of like, 73, 75%. So after the break, if you're saying that's going to be 70, 75%, you're now looking at an all-time high in terms of dollar to won or won dropping to an all-time low. So if that's happening, that means it's not only Korean won which is going to be impacted, it's going to be a lot of other currencies which are paired against dollar. But if you are in the market and you are looking at the strength index here, you're seeing like, okay, yes, it's still following the same. We have to break higher to say like, okay, dollar is going to continue higher without coming back down. But right now, we think that resistance is going to hold and the price is going to get rejected. So when you look at the S&P, NASDAQ and all, short, small bounces are happening after a major drop yesterday. That is not saying like, okay, we are reversing. But what you really have to look at is like, okay, the price actually dropped. It raised last 3-4 days of trading, came back to this level. So for Bitcoin, if you are looking at this previous resistance is now turned into a support level. So when you extend that to see like, does that actually go in? Yeah, previously you were close to that range and you broke above. Now, that's Bitcoin. Great. You go on to look at Ether and it is still trending to the upside. Now you can actually just take a trend line and see like where it is moving. And the trend line is still trending higher. It's a rising trend line with your RSI moving to the upside. So if you look at the fact that the trend lines are actually meeting there and you're at the support, most likely you would say like, okay, there is going to be a bounce. We are going to reach this level of resistance to test that first. Now, on the way, you will get resistance. Last level of support here is going to be acting as a resistance. So most likely, the price is going to bounce. But at the same time, you're also looking at the Ether merge and the next Fed hike coming in, right? 21 of this month is going to be when Fed is going to do that. And then maybe next 12 hours, 10 hours, you're going to see the Ether merge completed. Now, if everything goes well, people should come back in. And that's why we are observing that the altcoin is increasing in dominance, which means the Bitcoin dominance is dropping. So when we are going back to look at the altcoin dominance, we need to actually make sure that we understand what the market is showing us. The RSI broke here, but now came back, retested that, and it is bouncing. So when we are bouncing from there, now general thing, when you are in the market and you're going from the bottom to the upside, that act as a resistance. But when you are above and you're going down, that act as a support. Same, you broke this one, you came lower, so this should be now acting as a support. So the resistance is turned into a support. The RSI kind of agree or lean towards that narrative where you're gonna bounce higher. So the altcoin dominance is set to increase in that terminology. So when you go back to XRP, yes, we are trending like this and it does not actually look really great. When the market is moving, we need to see this break higher, because if it does not, then we are going to go to retest 0.28. So that's XRP with the ACC case getting a lot of pressure, because not a lot of exchanges in US has this, or majority of the exchanges don't trade XRP. So you're not getting a lot of volume from US, right? And you know that's one of the biggest economy, and that is driving a lot of money out of XRP or locked in XRP. People cannot actually do much with that. So now when you're on a weekly for XRP looking like, okay, then what do I see for the macro? You still are waiting to see a bounce to test the moving average close to 0.5. Because the way you're looking at this is a ABC correction, inside which you got the minor one, first one ABC, and the next one ABC. You're actually dropping. So you do see the market fluctuating a lot, and right now testing this trend line. So once you get a breakout, that's when you can actually say like, okay, the double bottom is complete, the short-term pattern is going to be broken, and we are going to trend higher. So inside the market, when you are looking at generally different assets and go looking at like, okay, you go check like the first 100 coins and see like how the market is reacting right now. And you say like, okay, I do see like, okay, there is a lot of volume coming back into the market, and I see the volume in Tether increasing, which is in line with what we saw on the on-chain data. So now when you are looking at coins like XRP and Binance coin, you see like, okay, daily volume, daily move is actually higher for XRP, but that's not saying it's going to go continuously do that for next 5 days. We don't know what's going to happen. If there is something good happening in next 5 days in terms of the SEC and court case, it is going to impact to the upside if it's positive. If it's negative, now that's going to be bad for the price, because sell the news event is kind of that, and it is going to get impacted. So here, if we bounce from this support, that is going to be really bullish. If not, another 2 weeks is going to be wasted, and you're going to come back lower, hit this level and bounce. So that is going to be somewhere you visited previously, say around 18,000. But if you bounce from this range, that is going to be like, okay, this is your range of consolidation, which is like accumulation zone. So if you get bounce, now you're testing the moving average. So that is actually not bad. So right now the market is not doing too much of fluctuations, but when you look at that, beneath everything or behind the screens, things are evolving, people are buying more. So if you are here, make sure you do the right, you do the right thing in the market, so that your future is not regretful. Great. Guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you are looking to trade through this asset class to see like what's good, what's not, and where the volume is, this all aligns properly if you do proper technical analysis, where you see like, okay, this shows a huge possibility of a move higher, right? So guys, that's it for today. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye-bye.